it's AMO to Edwardsport. So Edwardsport is a generator, and Indianapolis is a load. And then, of course, a lot of those circuits up there get split to 230, step down to the voltages that then kind of feed back here. So it's one of those things where it's going to serve central Indiana as far as functionally, and then where it'll get traded in the market kind of like corn does, but it won't get past Indianapolis as far as like the power itself, because that's load is so much bigger than our generation.
Okay. And I got one other question for you, and I'll be done talking. All right. What will be your hours of the workforce that's going to be putting this in? Are they going to go 24/7, or are you going to have set hours or whatever?
That's something that's perfectly negotiable. We don't have a plan for that yet, but if there's a specific time that we need to stop by to be good neighbors, then that's something that we can build in, and they have to abide by that. Or, you know, if there's a hurry or something for a very specific reason at the end of the year to hit a very specific target, there could be some sort of a way to let that happen and make it right with neighbors.
Okay, thank you. You want this, James?
You guys said NRRE's been in operation for 4 to 5 years and haven't had a completed project yet. How are you guys still functioning, and why is it taking so long to get a project completed?
Yeah, that's a really great question. We have one functional project. It's called Lone Star. It's just smaller than this one. I guess I meant like a project of our size earlier when I said that. That one's like a fourth of the size of this one. We bought a developer in South Carolina when we got started, and they had some projects that we're constructing. We have 3 others under construction. It's just one of those things where it takes a long time to get projects through the process. Unfortunately, I wish it could go faster. The key thing for us, starting from zero, is, I hit the ground running. It was within 6 months of starting that we had this land signed and into the interconnection process, and we're still not having results. So it's a function of our process, starting from scratch and getting through it.
And then you said there'd be 1,200 people at peak development. How is Putnam County going to house those people?
Yeah, that's an important part that we'll have to work together to understand as we move forward. I think there's some excitement around having some new hotels built in Cloverdale, at least with the folks that I've spoken with. And that would be, as you do those studies, that could be a piece of it. There's other ways to handle it as well. They may stay in Plainfield. That's close enough. Terre Haute, Brazil. There's an opportunity there if you wanted to come up with alternative ways and keep some of those per diem dollars in the county. I think it's a real big opportunity.
I got one more, sorry. You probably know this, but who is the biggest producer right now in Indiana that's running flocks of sheep on solar?
It's either Billy Bope or Greg Gunthorpe, I would think. Those two guys are pretty close.
So how many head do they run?
Well, Chris, you just talked to Greg. How many's he got? He's got 1,000. Yeah.
Greg Gunthorpe was a college roommate of mine, Andy. He farms up in northern Indiana in LaGrange County, and he runs 1,000 ewes on British Petroleum's solar fields near South Bend.
Okay, all right. Well, I know of one, and it's down in southern Indiana. They run 7,000 ewes. So anyway, and I talked to that person, and he said he's seen best fit for running under solar panels is the St. Croix, because they are parasite and insect resistant too. So
That's a wonderful sheep too. They're a foundation breed of the Katahdin breed. Katahdin is just St. Croix with a few other meat breeds mixed in to give them a little bit more meat, but they're a wonderful breed. He's right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once again, this is going back to what I know, right? So when the question was asked, if a panel is broken, and this is for the one that I'm close to, can we get another one? And we were told that those panels were no longer made. So then this creates a new issue, and my husband is a huge Apollo 13 fan. Like, if it's on TV, we gotta watch it. So I'm very familiar with the part where they have to put the square filter into the round hole or other ways. So in 10 years' time, or if something happens and you need to replace a panel, are you still gonna be able to do that? Are all the parts still gonna match up? I just want to make sure that if it goes in, that it's gonna be functioning. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, and it's an important question, because the form factor over that period of 10 years, when North Putnam had put their solar farm in, was probably the early 2010s-ish. And from then to now, the form factor has changed. By form factor, I mean the size of the panels has gotten larger. Now it's sort of leveled off to where those are. You also have a very small, and those may be 200-watt panels. They may be really small. Again, I do not think that was a very well done array. I'll just put it that way. And so for us, what we would do is we would have several many backup panels in storage to account for that. And if we had an event like we were sort of thinking about earlier, where we had an act of God, like a tornado or something like that, and it took out so many that it exceeded what we had, we would replace them with similar panels, current panels that are up to date, or maybe we would have to do a little rewiring to get them back in order. But we would have within our PPA minimum amounts of electricity produced, so we would be able to do that. But that is a really valid concern, particularly when things were changing rapidly like that 10 years.
Right. And I guess that's where I was leading. So is this something that within the next 10 years, we're gonna see another huge step in efficiency for those panels?
I hope so. But as far as like the size factor, I think that we've kind of leveled out to what, there was a little period of time, and we're getting a little into the weeds here, where we were doing this 2 panels on a rack thing, and they were getting super tall. I was always personally opposed to that. I never liked it because it just seemed like it was adding too much stress. So what's happened is that's gone away, because those panels were only 5 or 6 feet long, and now we're at the point where they're roughly 8 feet long. And I think that you can't get much bigger and be able to hoist them up there. I mean, you could get a little bigger, but I think it's like a physical limit issue at this point.
Okay, that makes sense. Also,
Oh, I'm getting a note here that I should explain what a PPA is. Sorry for my jargon. That's the power purchase agreement. That's the contract that we will sign with like the off-taker of the power.
okay. How long does the decommissioning take?
I've heard, we haven't done one on this scale yet. We haven't built solar farms this big, but I would think you would think it would take between 6 to 18 months. I know that's not a very tight answer for you, and that would be in the decommissioning study like an estimate, but it would really, that's the ballpark of what it would take. It's fast, it's probably closer to 6 months because it's faster taking down than going up.
Okay. And I was glad to hear you talk about drainage earlier, because I remember when one of the fields was tiled, it was probably 8 years ago when it was tiled, and then small critters started coming in my house. Came home to a chipmunk that my dog chased all through the house. It was fantastic. But are you going to be able to watch those drainage pipes to keep them intact, or are you going to have to change the drainage within the fields?
So we're not going to be doing any major earthworks, because that's one thing that has shifted over time as well. Some of the earlier farms did have to level them out, and that's terrible to do to the soil. So we're not going to be doing any major sort of earthworks. One, it's expensive, and it looks like the ground lays in a way that we're able to just drive our posts, and then the tracking systems are able to follow the contours a lot better now than they were in those days. So we don't expect, so from a surface drainage perspective, we don't expect to impact that in a negative way. Over the longer term, as the, like being in agriculture, as you have grasses and they put their roots down and then they start creating even better soil porosity and structure and function, you should get like more infiltration over time on those, so that should help. As far as the drainage themselves, so the subsurface drainage, it's really critical that we maintain that, particularly the larger mains, and especially critical for mains that connect to other farms where their drainage depends on that. And we will have a detailed, that'll be a part of our plan to ensure that, because there's, like, in my 20 years doing this, I think the maddest people ever got was when I had to tell them that we were going to plow the electric cables in versus trench them. And they lost their minds. But we got them through it. We had a plan. We had ground penetrating radar. We identified everyone. Well, not everyone, but we fixed the ones that we didn't find, the old tile. You can find the plastic ones. We had maps. It was a multi-phased approach to go in and say, do you have the maps? Then we'll do ground penetrating radar. And then for the wet spots that come up next year, we go back and we find it and patch it. It's the maddest I've ever seen people is definitely that, yes. Or farmers, for sure.
Just two, I think just one more. Okay, so.
Sorry.
No, you're fine, you're fine. I think one of the fears is that this gets installed, and then what? What is that going to lead to? We've seen what's happening in other counties that are very close to us with data centers going in, and I think that's a genuine fear that some people in Putnam County have. So if we have all this and it can power 50,000 homes, then is it going to be able to power a data center that could be nearby?
Yeah, I think when you look at data center development, we all use the internet, and you're absolutely right, this is going very quickly, all these demands for these things. And having a power source like that could spur all kinds of economic development. A data center is one thing that could happen. I know that there's another a thought with, there was a jet fuel plant that was considered but didn't have adequate power, taking the ethanol and refining it to jet fuel. So I think that, yes, those things could happen. And I think that if they did, you would want them to kind of hold them to the same sort of level that what we're doing. And then also be very thoughtful about those things, because I'm still learning about data centers myself. I don't know on a personal level if I'm want to see them or not. We have to have a certain amount of them, but how much do we want? And we need to be thoughtful, particularly around the water usage that they have. I think that's a critical thing that we need to protect that, and sort of create proactively standards that think about, like, what is the water that you're going to need. And at a higher level, making sure, and this is at the power company level, but making sure that any sort of a large load like that didn't that they paid their way, right? So that they're paying those things and not impacting people's rates. I think that's really important. But I think with any economic development, it's a balance, right? And we're not proposing that here, but I think that part of the excitement of the project is that you create this ability, potentially down the road. There's no substation plan there to serve local load, but it becomes more feasible now having a switch. So that's definitely something, and we need to be thoughtful about future development in the area. But for us, that's not our issue, but it is an issue that issue/opportunity for the area that really needs to be considered.
Thank you. I just had a moment and it just flew away. It's actually a really good question that I had thought about for a while too. Here's what it is. It's difficult. It's difficult for me to wrap my mind around utilizing a high productive ground. Is there any kind of medium to low productive ground in this area that you could potentially use and still be able to get it to work, I guess? That's my question.
Not really, and I've seen a lot of comments to that effect of, could we use lower quality farm ground? Could we use rooftops? And all those things are actually reasonable ideas and things that we could consider as a country or as a county or as a state even, right? Like the building standards, I mean, we live in Johnson County. There were no houses on 144 and now there's all houses. It looks like Smurf Village all of a sudden.
Really?
So it's one of those things where those things happen quickly. We also have warehouses along Interstate 65. You've seen the same sort of thing happening at Monrovia or even more so in Plainfield. You would have to make that a requirement that they produce solar on top as it's going in because they need to build those roofs to accommodate that and put the wiring in. So it needs to be a pre-thing and not a post thing. It's not our business model. We're not in that business of doing those smaller projects like that. They're definitely interesting, and I think that those are good ideas. Certainly putting panels in covered areas in Walmart would be great. I think that's awesome too. In that case, you're looking at double or triple the cost of power. So really what we're looking at is we have a situation where the best place for a solar farm, there were 14 other lease offers. So it's where there's flat ground next to a transmission line is a big transmission line, which we can talk about. This one in Cloverdale is the only big transmission line we have in the community. It's the 345 kV. It's the one that can handle this size project. The project up north, Cold Spring, was tying into I think a 230 kV, and their studies came back in that there was insufficient. It was going to be way too costly to put that project in. So you really don't have a situation where you could build a project up there now, at least economically, until there's major upgrades to the system. So down the road, it could probably handle maybe a 100 to 200 megawatt facility, so 600 to 1,200 acres is sort of what you're thinking up there. The 69 kV circuit, I know from experience in this area, is currently not adequate to handle even a 50 megawatt project. So the rest of the things in Greencastle, heading up north to Bainbridge, all those lines would be limited to projects less than 50 megawatts or 300 acres or less. The other line that we have in the county is the one that runs along Jim Street. That's a 138 kV line. 100 megawatts is kind of your best estimate, and that's an old line, and I don't think the capacity is very good.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. I just wanted to address the concerns of it spreading everywhere. We only really have a good opportunity in Cloverdale as far as the entire county for development of solar, just given the capacity, the physical capacity of the line.
You talked about when she asked the spare panels, where would those be stored? Would they be somewhere locally? Do you need to build somewhere locally, or do you have somewhere throughout the United States where you would store them?
Generally, they would be stored locally. There could be an operations center built. This is kind of on the edge of being big enough to make that feasible. Or there could be some sort of a Connex box or some other small storage building where you would store spare equipment. And that would be a part of the building permit and the final site design. Or it could be rented in the town too. Oh, it's not oh, okay. It's not under the natural resource district? Sorry. I'm getting a clarification. We hadn't, like, that's something that usually happens way towards the end, and a lot of times it would be in, I mean, it's so close to Cloverdale, we'd probably lease a building there. Not per, oh, okay, so it would not be allowed, so we would not do it. So sorry about that, but we wouldn't be putting a building out there, it would be in town, which is much better anyway.
And then, the other question I have is, where does your upfront funding for this project come from?
So each project is funded in a different way. So once you get the project all the way ready for construction, you will go and get well, there's actually a bunch of ways. At certain companies, they just have enough money in the bank to start building. And then later they'll go and get what's called tax equity financing if there's still any tax credits, where people buy a part of the project to be able to get those benefits. If those don't exist, then it's just some sort of a low cost. We would sell most of the project and keep a controlling interest, like an interest in it, but we would sell most of it to something like a lot of them are like pension funds that have very low cost of capital. That's who they're not active in the management, but then they own them. So that's generally how these things are worked. There's also like bridge loan, there's also like actual financing through banks to get it going through the construction phases if you don't have enough money just to pay that part. So there would be a bank loan, but then there would be a sell down later. It's not my favorite part of it. There's a lot of paperwork. I want more sheep questions if.
I have a question. If this was to go through, stay with this, or would you sell it off to somebody else, or are you here primarily to get this started?
So our goal
Or
is.
be in it for the long term?
Our goal is to be the one to be, our goal is to be the owner-operator of this, but there is a chance that another, like, big company could be the owner-operator as well. So it really, we're hopeful, that's our aspiration, is to be the owner-operator of the project. But any project can be sold at any time. That's like, it really is, I want to be a part of the project for as long as possible. I love it.
Okay, anyone else?
So, if you sell your project, does that mean the $2.4 million guarantee will not be coming to the county? Or are you gonna make sure that other company buying it is gonna pay $2.4 million?
That's in the commitments that we're making with the rezone. It's a commitment that's in there, yeah. That's really important to Emily and I, that got in there.
Any more? Okay, at this point in time, we're going to move on to the public hearing part. I'm not sure, I believe we have a couple of attorneys here. Mr. Felling is here, I believe, and maybe someone else representing possibly some independent groups. So,
I've requested defer to go last, if at all possible.
say that again, hey.
I defer to go last, if at all possible.
Okay. Okay. You folks want to take a break? I don't care. Well, it'll be 300 people in the restroom at the same time. That's fine.
I'm just checking on you. I just want to make sure y'all are okay.
Okay. 10 minutes, 10-minute break. 5 minutes? Just go. Just go.
They might have to go to the bathroom, guys. They might have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
They've been sitting up there for a couple hours, you know?
So just stay right here.
Yeah, you're fine.
And we'll just let you go ahead. Just go ahead. We got a lot to get through and a lot of time left to go.
Oh, Maureen, it's so nice to meet you. I would rather wait a minute till we get back from the bathroom. Yeah. So I'm going to ask them
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
to let me. I talked to them. Because it's just going to be easier if I go through it with them. And to be honest, I'm not trying to be like repetitive about it. I'm trying to do everything.
Well, yeah. No, what I prefer, because here's the rule, it's supposed to be 3 minutes. So just have a request. Just request. Yeah, suspend the rules, allow 10 minutes. If somebody else comes, what if somebody else comes up with 10 minutes? No, they're going to explain what they're speaking for. It's better off. You're speaking for it.
Because I'll finish it.
You're going to ultimately save time as opposed to.
Yes, exactly, because otherwise, they have people signed up behind me that are just gonna come up and read it, and they're not gonna be able to answer questions.
Nope.
They're not gonna be able to,
Again,
you know.
all I can do is give them my advice, but I told them, and I think that's why Kevin asked you
Okay.
first, is to go ahead and do
Yeah,
that.
I think that will probably take me about 15 minutes to get through it, but I'm gonna read as fast as I can.
Okay, 'cause the
I
other
just
thing
want
is,
it on
like,
the record, that's all I care about.
They talked about, hey, this person could take 9 minutes, right? No, we're not doing it. I said, that's not even in our rules. I mean,
Every county that I've been to has been a different scene.
oh, no,
right?
it is. It's
Like
absolutely.
every single one. Some of them say, we went to Jefferson County, they let them give the attorney minutes. I had like an hour and a half. My presentation was half an hour. You know what I mean? Like, they saved themselves when they did that because those people didn't really want to speak. They just wanted to make
Well, that's
sure
what
that I
we
had
got
time.
84 people signed up. I don't know that 84 people were going to speak. I think they were just signing in.
Well, if they let me talk it through, the reasons behind me aren't going to speak. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Well, I told them, I said, in my opinion, my advice would be to give you guys 10 minutes. Just because, again, you're going to say more in that 10 minutes than you 20 people are going to say times 3, that's 60.
mine will, because if they give me the time,
And Eddie's been through this. He represented the gravel.
Oh, that's
So
hard.
We got him sued over it.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We won, 'cause I did such a good job.
But no,
Oh.
and that one, that one I felt like, again, that's what I talked to Kevin about. Kevin's I just talked to him. Remember how he did that with the gravel? There's still going to be people that want to have their, oh, what about 3 minutes? Can't do anything about it.
Whatever.
But I felt like at least the way that it was.
Well, that was different, because I had all.
Yeah, you had all.
I do think there are people that signed up specifically to make sure that I get it.
That's right.
You will lose people.
As opposed to like stating it like borrowing minutes, just like, look, I want to suspend the rules, can I get 10 minutes? That's what I told them. I said I would hope it would go, but I said, I've been getting emails all week, and I'm like, guys, I don't make these people that make the rules.
I think if I had 15 minutes, I could get through everything completely. So that's what I'm going to ask them for. They can tell me what they want to tell me. Otherwise, there's going to be somebody else coming.
So technically, it's gonna get sued. I don't know.
It is what it is.
It's not a bad decision, but it's not gonna be them. They're not necessarily gonna be freaking cheap. Say that.
DoorDash Domino's watching me walk in. Piss these people off.
Yep. I said, I don't know everybody. Huh?
Oh.
They have access.
Okay, folks, if you please take a seat. We've got a lot to get through. A lot of people that want to talk.
I am. I'm going to ask them for 15 minutes. I think I can get through the whole thing, and then they don't have to worry about somebody else just coming and reading it. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Jim talked to me about it.
I have a question.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Are you representing a specific group of people?
I am. You have a binder in front of you, that smaller white binder in front of you, and it has a brief in it. Yeah, if you guys want to pull that out. So my name is Laureen White, and I'm from Madison County. I represent the people that are listed on that binder, and I had hoped that you would allow me to have about 15 minutes just to get through my presentation. I do have people signed up after me that will read through it if that is the case, but I think I can get through it and answer any questions for you much easier if you just give me that additional time to do so.
So 15 minutes?
I believe that would get me through it.
Okay, all right. Well, if we're ready, you can proceed.
Okay. Dear Area Plan Commission members, I represent those individuals listed on the brief in front of you. Some of them may additionally have their own comments to provide. The individuals I have named will be directly affected by this rezone and Energy RE, doing business as Four Leaf Solar, its proposed industrial solar project. Property owned by my clients is adjacent to this project, and as you will see, these property owners will have standing to take appropriate legal action in the future. Four Leaf Solar submitted an application for a rezone in August of 2025. In the application, Four Leaf states that this project is guided by one simple principle: Putnam County first. Unfortunately, as you're about to hear, this project does anything but put Putnam County first. Four Leaf's application goes on to claim is offering neighbor agreements to those a quarter of a mile from the project boundary and implementing a 250-foot setback. As you're about to hear, neither of these concessions made by Four Leaf come close to mitigating the impact of this industrial operation, and in order to gain these concessions,